Hi guys, I'm Games FM and welcome to my Middlesbrough rebuild. Now Middlesbrough, for me, were a team that were always a Premier League side. However, financial issues and various other things saw them get relegated from the Premier League and they've struggled ever since. However, we're going to try and take them back to where they probably belong and try and get them back to being an established Premier League team. We're giving ourselves 5 seasons to do it, and for the first summer we've turned all transfers off, which means I can only use the players that Michael Carrick has available to him right now. As we said in the tactic video that we released earlier in the week, we can only use the tactic Arteta Ball by Josh Daly, and if you haven't watched that video about how this tactic works and the results we got, go and check it out now. The link is in the top right hand corner of the video. Well worth a watch. This tactic I really like. I actually gave it a 9 out of 10 in that tactic review, and it gave us 246 points over 3 different simulations and averaged around 60% possession. So I'm really hopeful we can hit the mark with this tactic as well. Now, what we do in every one of these tactics is we do simulate the seasons, and I do the tactics and the transfers. So our assistant manager will be responsible for it. So let's see how we got on in season 1. Alright then, so season 1 is in the bag. Let's have a look how we got on. In terms of the league, we actually finished 4th. I've given you a little spoiler there, but we finished 4th and we got promoted in the playoffs. We actually had quite a good season. 22 wins, 13 draws, 11 defeats. Chuba Akpom was the second highest scorer. I mean, Timo Pukki, Norwich, just ran away with the league. 39 goals he scored, sorry. Angus Gunn also kept 23 clean sheets for Norwich. Playoffs, however... The final was something to behold. 6-4 after extra time. It was 3-3, I think. Yeah, 3-3 at the end of full time. And we were down to 10 men just before halftime. So to actually go on and beat QPR is fantastic. In terms of the budget we've been given just under 40 million with £500,000 wage budget. So I actually think we can do some really good business this summer to just freshen up the team. We are going to lose some loanees, which will play a big difference, excuse me, or make a big difference. In terms of our goal scorers then, Chuba Akpom 29, Josh Coburn, who's on loan, got 19, Marcus Foss got 17, and Isaiah Jones 15. He has asked to leave, wants a new contract, so we will sort that out. And our assists were nicely shared out as well. All 3 players getting 10, Bowler, Balassa and Akpom, and Marco Foss getting 8 with Tommy Smith from right back. So really, really well divvied out goals and assists. Data hub wise, let's have a look. So our non-expected goals were 1.5, which is awesome. We averaged 1.8 goals a game and we had just under 18 shots. And our defensively, we were, apart from the conceded per game, our expected goals against per game was better than the league average, which is really good. So quite happy with how the first season went. I do just want to have a look at one more thing before we move on to the summer transfer window, and that is how possession went for us. We were the top side in the league for possession. I said when we did the 3 simulations in the tactic test video on Monday that we averaged around 60%. As you can see right there, Middlesbrough 60% for the season, which is absolutely brilliant. Top of the possession league. I mean, it doesn't mean much, but it did lead us to getting promoted through the playoffs. So let's get on with the summer transfer window. We'll bring you back to just before the start of the second season in the Premier League and show you who we brought in over the course of the summer. Alright then, so we're about to start our first season as a Premier League club with Middlesbrough. Now let's have a look at the players we brought in. We signed Zach Stefan on a permanent deal after he was on loan last year. Jaden Bogle and Aaron Hickey came in as well on free transfers. Luazio, we signed. He was our big summer signing. Martin Pereiro came back from being on loan last season. Iliman Ndayu came in, and Phil Jones on a free as well. So we actually had quite good business over the course of the summer. Now we start our season against Nottingham Forest away. We haven't actually played any pre-season games because they just didn't get arranged, which is my fault. So we go straight into the league. So Forest, Southampton, Blackburn and Leicester up as our first 4 games. They're going to be key because when we get into September and October where we play United, Arsenal and Chelsea, they're going to be really tough. Anyway, let's see how we get on our second season and see if we can become established as a Premier League club and avoid relegation. All right, then let's have a look at how we got on in our first season in the Premier League. We finished 15th, which is really respectable. As we've only just come up, Blackburn finished rock bottom. Aston Villa and Everton both got relegated, so there's a chance we can go and raid those two teams in the summer. The other team that came up with us was Norwich, and they finished 13th. So it's not a bad return of how we did. 11 wins, 9 defeats, 18 defeats, a negative goal difference of 21. We actually, let's have a look where we are. We scored 45 goals and conceded 66. Now, looking at this, Zach Stefan has been injured for the majority of the season after suffering damaged cruciate ligaments, so that has obviously potentially had a big impact on the season, but not as bad as you might think, because in 12 Premier League games that he played, he conceded 25 goals, whereas Liam Roberts, who came in and played 25 games, only conceded 37. We probably lucked out with that happening. It could have ended very, very different had Zach Stefan played the whole season, but we will find out next year. In terms of the rest of the squad, Marcus Forss got 17 goals, Chuba Akpom weighed in with 9, and Dai got 8, and all the assists came from Barlasa, McGree. We weren't as creative as we were last season, but that was going to happen with going up to the Premier League. It was always going to be different. The other competitions, we got to the 4th round of the FA Cup, knocked out by Brighton, and knocked out in the 3rd round of the Carabao Cup by Man City. Again, just not bothered about those competitions. They really aren't important in the long run of things, because it was more important that we stayed up financially. We are in an awesome position. Now, this isn't great, but we are £58 million because of the TV revenue in credit. Our wages are well over budget, but hopefully the owners will back us and say, do you know what? We stayed up. Let's go again. We'll find out. Anyway, let's see who we can bring in the summer before we start Season 3, our second season in the Premier League. Alright then, so Season 3 is about to get underway, and here is who we have brought in. Ivan Toney has come in from Brentford. Joe Aribo has come in. We have also brought in David Raya in goal, so we're looking really strong going into the season. Pre-season for us went as you would expect. We lost 1-0 to Atletico Madrid, drew with Arsenal, drew with Juventus, and smashed Boca United 15-0 on our tour. So, you know, it's hit and miss, but going into the season, Brighton leads up first, 2 winnable games. Man City, then Southampton. We need 3 out of 4 wins there. However, Man City, ironically, if we look at the past meetings, we have been absolutely smashed by. 10 for them, 2 for us. So we need a big, big win for us here. Let's see how we got on, and I'll bring you some of the best action from, or the best game from Season 3 as we look to improve on our position of 15th last season. All right then, so the season is finished. And I'll actually argue this season was worse than last season, because we finished 15th in our first season with not a lot of investment, but we've now had 2 seasons of investment and we didn't do any better. In terms of the squad, if we look at Ivan Toney, 35 goals, Ndai got 7, Honorat got 7, Force got 6, and assist-wise, nobody got more than 5, which is pretty average. What has frustrated me is David Ray only played 19 games and conceded 27 goals. Zach Stefan played 22 league games and conceded 40. My assistant manager really fancied Zach Stefan for the first half of the season, which is annoying. Competitions-wise, we got to the 4th round of the FA Cup and the 4th round of the Carabao Cup, and not a lot else. But yeah, that is that season in the bag. So in terms of, there weren't really any massively notable wins to bring you. We went through such big losing streaks as we did here. I'm actually, when we look at that, quite happy that we managed to stay up. And the back end of the season was just shocking. Anyway, we're going to have a summer of investment now. We're going to find out how much money we get. And then what we need to do is massively improve our creativity and defense. That is where we're going big this summer. Let's see who we bring in. All right, so we're about to start our 4th season in charge of Middlesbrough. And we've, again, gone and spent money. The board have given us money. We are in the process of a takeover. And the new stadium has been announced, which will finish... The building will be finished right after this rebuild finishes. So, yeah, we won't get to see the new stadium. But hey, good news for Middlesbrough fans. So, congratulations. Anyway, who do we bring in? Sabitzer on a free transfer. Dewsbury Hall was our big summer signing. We got Simic and Hernandez on the wings as well. We went big with transfer listed players this summer in a bid to kind of get as many new faces in we could that would build it up. And actually, if you look at the rollability of the players, I'm really happy with who we've brought in. In terms of how we start our season off, we are away to Everton on the opening day. Norwich and Stoke winnable games, and Newcastle really is, kind of here nor there. It's one of them that we should be winning. It's a derby, let's get up for it. But in in the last 2 years, they've beaten us more often. In fact, they've beaten us 3 out of 4. Let's not sugarcoat it. We have just been terrible when it's come to that derby. In terms of where we're expected to finish in the league, then, we are expected to be 13th. So they expect us to go up just slightly. Not great. But we should be doing better than that. The teams that were promoted, Villa, Everton, and Stoke. Norwich. Can I just point out, Norwich have European football this season. That's what I want this year. I want to be going into the last season with some European football to our name, and to be able to say we have but you know what, at the moment we are becoming a steady, consistent Premier League team, which is what I set out to do at the start of this rebuild. And using this tactic, it's been interesting. We'll certainly see how we've done on possession over the 5 seasons come the end. Anyway, let's see how we get on in season 4 and see if we can get into European football. All right, so season 4 is in the bag, and I said we wanted to qualify for Europe. We had spent big the last 2 seasons and not really done much. But this season it clicked, and we got 6th place, so we're in the Europa League next season. That is absolutely brilliant. 60 points, a plus 22 goal difference as well. Let's have a look. Ivan Toney, the second highest scorer in the league, 21 goals. Let's have a look at the squad stats. So over the full season, he scored 24. Rocco Simic got 13 goals and 13 assists. And Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, our big summer signing, 11 goals, 11 assists. So it was nice. We actually had a bit of creativity in the team, which was awesome. In terms of the other competitions, we got to the quarterfinals of the FA Cup, but we lost to Man City, and we were knocked out in the 4th round of the Carabao by Charlton. But again, we're not overly fussed about that competition. So we've had a really good season. Now, there is one game I want to bring you, and it is our game at Arsenal away early in the season, which was a 5-1 win, courtesy of a Ivan Toney hat-trick. So let's have a look at the highlights of that game. Now, in this game, we did take the lead through Cucho Hernandez. What a season he had. But Arsenal pulled level thanks to Martinelli. He might be a player, I consider signing this summer if he is interested in moving to Middlesbrough. I mean, would you trade London for the North East? But we went to be denied as Ivan Toney rattled in a second goal for us, which really Ramsdale should be ashamed that he conceded. Again, Ivan Toney on hand to make it 3-1, just left unmarked in the edge, just around the penalty spot, and a VAR check couldn't save Arsenal. And he made it 4 shortly after completing his hat-trick. And really, they just had no answer for him. But it was late on in the game as Sabitzer made it 5-1 to Middlesbrough. And there you have it, that's our key game from the season. We absolutely destroyed Arsenal away from home at the Emirates, and it really kind of kick-started our season because we'd been a little bit iffy around then. We also beat Newcastle earlier on in the season in the massive North East derby, 6-1 at home, which I could have chosen that game to show you as well. Obviously, I'd mentioned earlier at the start of this season how Newcastle were a bit of a bogey team for us, but the win over Arsenal, because it was away from home, just seemed a little bit more significant. Anyway, now we're in for a busy summer as we prepare for our first European competition, and I will see you at the start of the season when we show you who we signed before we finish off this simulation with our 5th and final season as we venture into Europe. I hope we've got our passports. Alright then, so this is it, Season 5. This is what we've been working towards, European football. Now we've taken Middlesbrough from an expected mid-table championship team to the Champions League. I got the competition wrong at the end of last season in just 4 years. Now, we have spent big since we came up to the Premier League, and the owners have backed us, and we've got to be thankful for that, even though they are looking to sell the club. Which is surprising when they have just funded the new stadium, which is going to be built at the end of this season. 47,500 seater stadium, which is awesome. let's have a look at the squad. So we've made 2 signings this summer. We've brought in Luis Felipe and we brought Angelo from Real Madrid. That's going to be it. I've stuck with the team that got us to where we are. Now, it is sad that Sabitzer has decided to explore his options at the end of his contract, but we'll get a season out of him at least. And who knows, if we do really well in the Champions League, we might be able to renew. But how are we expected to get on this season? So, in terms of the Premier League, we're predicted to finish 10th. So they are saying we massively overachieved last season. Now, Leicester are back in the Premier League, having been promoted, along with Watford and Nottingham Forest. So there are winnable games for us. In terms of the Champions League, I just want to be competitive. That's all I want to do. I like to win a trophy, but you know what? I've got to European football, and that was the goal at the end of this rebuild, as well as making them an established Premier League club, which I feel like we've done. So as long as we don't get relegated this season, it's been a success. Massively. In terms of our opening games then, so we are going to play Leicester, Norwich, Liverpool, Wolves and Watford as our first 5 games. Obviously, we've got Champions League games to throw in there as well. It's going to be really interesting. Let's see how we get on in our 5th and final season. Alright then, so we have finished our 5-season rebuild. Now let's have a look exactly how we got on, because I'm quite happy with how this went. Now we finished 9th, which isn't bad, but what we have become is an established Premier League team. And not only that, our first season in Europe, although it isn't going to be our first and last, well, at least we're not in it next year, we reached the semi-finals of the Champions League, and we were going into that second leg against Inter Milan with a 2-1 lead, but we lost 3-0. We got knocked out in the FA Cup 3rd round and the 3rd round of the Carabao Cup. But I actually think with the added European competition, we did really well. So, you know, some element of credit is deserved for that side of it. In terms of how the team went, 26 goals for Ivan Toney. Cucho Hernandez got 15. Rocco Simic got 10. And the assist went as free-flowing as last season. Angelo got 11. Dewsbury Hall 9. Esposito got 7. And that's it, really. So it's not amazing. David Raya, on the other hand, his clean sheet, 17 clean sheets over the course of the season, conceding 63 goals in all competitions. Not a bad return for him. Now, there is one game I want to bring you to your attention, and it is the Champions League quarterfinal second leg away at the Etihad Stadium against Manchester City. Now, we were going into this leg with a 2-0 lead, but it got a little bit dicey when Manchester City took the lead early on after just 3 minutes in the second leg. So let's have a look at how that game went as we view the highlights. Now, it did start really well for Man City, as I said, as they took a 1-0 lead after just 3 minutes through a fantastic volley. However, Ivan Toney dove into the box. It was cleared, but a cross from Simic fell to him just outside the 6-yard box to make it 1-1 just before the half-hour mark. And in the 89th minute, we stole the win. Piero giving us a 2-1 win at the Etihad. So all in all, this tactic has been really successful. As you saw in the tactic video we did on Monday, it is, I would say, a tactic you can build for the long term. With the right players, it's very, very successful, and I do expect anybody who uses this tactic to have some element of success. Remember, Middlesbrough were a mid-table championship team when we took over, and there were no transfers in that opening season. So, we've had 4 transfer windows. We have really invested thanks to the owners and getting promoted to the Premier League. And we have gone from a mid-table championship team to Champions League semi-finalists. I would say that is a successful rebuild. Middlesbrough are once again an established Premier League side with a team that can push for Europe again next season. I hope you've enjoyed this. Remember, I am live streaming. Now, I'm live streaming on YouTube this Friday night. And we'll be doing Season 2 of The Wanderer as we continue at Aston Villa. I hope to see you all there. If you've enjoyed this video and you're going to use the tactic, let me know in the comments how you get on with it. I'd be really interested to know. And let me know who you'd like me to see rebuild in next week's video as we bring you another tactic test on Monday and then the rebuild later in the week. I'll see you all soon, Grays. You have a great day.